personalize it to Expedia in particular, right? This quote from the anonymous traveler who feels like there's no actual humans around. It's just some anonymous, server farm somewhere, some anonymous call center in a big generic office park, right? That's the way we look to the traveler, uncaring and faceless. And so reestablishing that connection and using technology, ironically, to personalize and connect in that new and different way is a big part of where Expedia is going, and I think the opportunity for the industry. And the challenge I would make to all of you as you think about your businesses in this new and changing environment is, what would Amazon do? What would Spotify do? Right? What would Facebook do to reinvent your space in light of those trends and what Web 3.0 technology enables? And I'll share with you how we're internalizing that Expedia right now. For us, it's about streaming perfect, personalized trips to delight the Earth's travelers. The first thing I did was redefine our mission at Expedia around delighting the Earth's travelers. How do you become the Netflix of travel, to stream the perfect trip, right? And I think it is harnessing the best practices as well as the innovations you've seen in terms of ubiquity and simplicity from Google, self-learning, and automatic choices that are right, that you see from Last.fm or Spotify or Pandora in the US, really being socially personalized and connected as Facebook has pioneered, and genuinely being meaningful and being able to put recommendations in the context of consumer behavior of other people like you and making it feel incredibly personal. And so in this world of ever-increasing clutter, the power of context becomes really, really important. Being able to take all of that information and sift it into what is most relevant at the moment that you really need to be able to use it is that power of context. And that's what the technology enables. The consumer doesn't care about the technology. The more invisible it is to them, the better. The benefit of it lies in being able to bring content and context to connect in a uniquely new and personalized way. That is the opportunity. And so for us, that means it all becomes about service design. How do you make it simple? Ever simpler, ever more useful, and more flexible, so that anywhere, anytime, the consumer is able to make those choices. We call our strategy Expedia Everywhere, and for us it's about tuning that core booking engine to make it ever simpler and faster, building mobile to be able to make it ubiquitously accessible, whether it's on a 3.5-inch iPhone, or it's on a 10-inch iPad, or whether it's on a 14-inch laptop display, or whether it's on a 60-inch TV. Seamlessly being able to move across devices with common profiles, common payments, a sense of state about where you are in that transaction, so that wherever you are, as you're dreaming about your trip, you're planning your trip, you can interact socially with other people who are taking your trip or your family to be able to make choices and be able to execute those choices. And then when you're on the trip, having it with you in a way that you can dynamically interact with. So if there's a problem, you can be immediately connected and resolve it. If not online, then with simple click to call. That's the power of that remote control for your trip that you have in your back pocket, your mobile phone. And that's why we've launched a series of things and applications around it that make that possible. The third element is social, and really integrating social loops into it so that you can put your itinerary on your wall, get that recommendations from your friends, see the recommendations irrespective of where your friends have made them around the world as they relate to choices you're making about places that you want to go. And then rewards, loyalty. How do you encourage people to come back and be able to provide the personalized information in return for getting a benefit, which is streaming those personalized trips. Those are a mutually reinforcing cycle because that in turn creates more users, more traffic, a higher conversion into bookings, and it can build on itself. That is the essence of the strategy if you get the service design right. And it really starts with that. It starts with being able to take all that complexity of too much information and being able to streamline it into that really simple moment of truth at the point of differentiation. And that is the challenge that we face. And there are examples of great companies who have done a great job doing that. And our challenge collectively is bringing that into travel. Because the palm trees and price points approach that you see in so many places around the world or even online, it doesn't meet that test. It doesn't pass that bar. That's part of why you don't see us doing that anymore, and you never see us do it again, right? It's going beyond that complexity and just commoditizing things purely through price, and really thinking about the broader dimensions of experience. And that's where I look back to my experience at Skype, and in doing that service design, it really starts with that end user, that customer need that's being met, and isn't always ascertainable through consumer research. When we did consumer research on what people wanted for the video experience on their laptops, the research came back and said, oh, they want an unobtrusive small window over in the corner to be able to do video chats. But we looked at it and said, no. Communication is human. You want to be able to see and interact with the faces and to really make it simple and connect emotionally, which is the power of video, which is different than audio. You have a contact list on Facebook, it averages hundreds of people. On Skype, it's a handful that you want to really interact with in this very personal, intimate way, right? So having that service design reflect that underlying consumer need to express that emotional aspiration, that's the power of being able to bring those three elements into alignment. And that's what we need to face as an industry when we look at e-commerce in travel. It is a world of all these prices with all of these different choices on the shelf, and honestly a lot less differentiation probably than any of us would like to see. How do you pierce through that to reconnect with that core need? And that's where I think we look at companies like Amazon, building the Amazon of travel that makes it feel, that takes all that complexity and connects it in a way that feels highly personalized and tailored to you. That is that essence of streaming that perfect personalized trip that I was talking about earlier. If they could do it with cameras and consumer electronics, think about the power of doing it with something as transformational, albeit more complex, as travel. I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, it only makes it more sustainable that it's hard, but it is what the consumer wants, and it taps into a certain truth about travel that I think we need to be honest about. And so I think our industry really has an imperative to really leverage not just the data that we have with the right permissions, but the technology that's now available to be able to harness and deliver what's really best for the travel. And in a nutshell, if I were going to summarize what I have to say in one word, we have the opportunity collectively to reinvent travel again, right? Travel has been reinvented usually on the basis of major technology breakthroughs, right? In transportation, be it trains, planes, automobiles, the internet, right, and now Web 3.0, we have to think broadly about that opportunity to reinvent travel on the basis of what the consumer really would be delighted by. And so what we're trying to do is take all of that complexity of choice, and at Expedia we deal with 300 different airlines, 140,000 different hotels. We're selling something like 25 million air tickets a year. And we fill somewhere on the order of 500 737s a day. How do you take all of that activity and all of that information and be able to really bring it together, to take it to the next level and reinvent travel while you're moving at 100 miles per my job description these days. But I think it's only a microcosm of something that we all face together. And frankly, in meeting that challenge, it's something that we need to work together better and differently as true partners to be able to do that. And I recognize, that Expedia doesn't have the best history of being humble. But I'm standing before you humbly and saying that I think this connection for the benefit of the customer and the power of the partnership between hotels and airlines and destination services, all of the different elements of a trip, broadly defined, creates the opportunity to take engagement and delight to the level that it needs to be at to respond to the threats that we face as an industry, as well as the opportunities to really do right by our customers. And so, as we think about taking full advantage of that at Expedia, just in the time I've been standing here talking, 1 million trips have been booked on Expedia using what has largely been the ways of Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. And what gets me really excited as I stand here before you today is the opportunity of what that could be tomorrow if we really work together in these new ways, leveraging the power of 3.0 technology to be able to deliver that end-to-end experience and stream delight. And so to do that, we are making several announcements. We launched our Expedia Hotels app, which is an incredibly user-friendly, visual, 2 clicks to book application in German that just launched on September 8th. We were delighted to receive the award last night for the Portale application, which is our 3PP mobile application. It is a great example of part of that family of delivering those mobile experiences in a very new, simple, compelling way. And then we will be launching tomorrow our Facebook German page, as well as our German YouTube channel that will be streaming these vignettes of stories that are these traveler truths that tie into that new brand positioning that I showed you earlier, but will then increasingly morph into how we share our passion, our trials, our tribulations as travelers at Expedia itself to connect in these new ways with our customers. And so those are some of the product and service innovations that sit behind the delivery of the strategy that I described. And as part of this way of saying we're not going to be trying to do everything ourselves, humbly, we're looking at real partnerships. There's some global partnerships that we've recently concluded that are part of how we deliver that, both in terms of how we execute social by design through our relationship with Facebook, but also, as I said, that spontaneous travel market with Groupon as an opportunity to have an element in the revenue management models of different partners on the hotel side, and then over time into the air and destination services side. And then in other parts of the world, such as Asia, we have the opportunity to work with the best low-cost carrier in the world, which we think is AirAsia, with deep expertise in those different markets, to connect them back into destinations in Germany, in Europe, and the U.S., taking a more destination-centric view of the whole business, putting that lens on top of it, while at the same time building the technology architecture and designing the services along the lines that I described here will be what you can expect to see from Expedia over the course of the next couple of years. So I hope that was helpful in terms of insight into the industry and where we're going, and I'd be happy to take your questions.